I visited Edinburgh at the beginning of April, and it was everything I wanted it to be. Magical, whimsical, full of ornate little towers and cozy shops. Let me show you the highlights of my trip. We visited Greyfriars Kirkyard, which is a famous graveyard that you need to visit for the somber, gothic atmosphere. Victoria Street was quite the opposite, bustling and full of colorful little shops nestled below historical buildings. We took a peek into the Witchery, a lavishly decorated restaurant and hotel with a unique witchy ambiance, as the name suggests. I have a lot of footage of just random buildings. I swear every street looks so picturesque. The absolute highlight when it comes to 19th century architecture was Dean's Village, and this house right there, I fell in love with. Just look at it, it's so beautiful. Another beautiful part of the city is Portobello Beach with the sea and little castle-like houses dotting the shore. Besides the sea and the historical streets, we also climbed up Author's Seat. Unfortunately, I have very chaotic footage of it because it was super windy up on the hill, but the view was worth it. Another view that impressed me was the little square in front of the Writers' Museum. This is the picture I have in my mind when someone says Edinburgh. Visiting Edinburgh also meant visiting some bookstores, namely Waterstones and a smaller one I will talk about later. I didn't dare to film a lot, but I could have spent hours browsing the shelves. Also, if you visit the Waterstones at Princess Street, their cafe upstairs has a stunning view of the castle. Now that I'm back home, but the weather truly turned gloomy and grey, it's time for a book haul to bring me some joy. Unfortunately, due to my limited luggage space, I haven't picked up many physical books during the trip, but I ended up getting the ebook versions, or I ordered them later, the ones I really liked. Let me show you which ones. The Last Witch of Scotland caught my eye immediately in the Waterstones at Princess Street, partially because of the cover featuring bold colors and folktale-esque illustrations, and also because it's said to be inspired by the true story of the last person who was executed for witchcraft in Britain. I haven't read many witchy stories, and even the ones I did read were more of the cozy fantasy types, so this will be something completely different. The story is set in a small community where our main character, Isla, tries to navigate life after a tragic fire accident that claimed the life of her father. She herself was also badly injured, and her mother struggles more on the mental side with her loss of her husband. The plot kicks off as their quiet life is interrupted by a troupe of traveling entertainers from Edinburgh, led by the supposedly charismatic and mysterious Jack. So potentially there's some romance in there, but to be honest, the blurb doesn't really give anything away, and based on the premise, I fear that it also contains betrayal, so definitely not a happily ever after cozy witchy story. What I'm looking forward to is how the plot explores themes of otherness, the search for connection, love and loyalty, with a focus on witchcraft and family dynamics, and that to me sounded like such a unique mix. I'm curious to see the emotional depth that this book displays, because it is labeled as dark, emotional and sad on Storygraph, and we all know that I don't do well with those elements in books. Or more like, I need the right timing to read something emotional taxing, you know. But I know one day I will get there and this book will be waiting for me. Something that I don't expect to be emotional taxing is Days at the Morisaki Bookshop by Satoshi Yagisawa. This I already picked up in Austria, so I wasn't tempted to buy another physical copy in Scotland. Not gonna lie, I stumbled upon it when I was searching for lesser known Japanese contemporary fiction books, and I was mainly drawn to it because it is set in a bookshop and it's rather short in length, so it seems perfect to read, for example, when I take the train to work. We are introduced to our main character, 25-year-old Takako, who is nursing a broken heart when she accepts her eccentric uncle's offer to move to his bookshop in Tokyo. She is not expecting much, but ends up discovering that the books have more to teach her about life, love, and new beginnings than she initially thought. I feel like this is going to be such a heartwarming story. I mean, the plot features the healing power of reading, so you literally cannot get any cozier than that. Honestly, I also appreciate that the main character is an adult here. I have high hopes that the plot features a bit more of general life struggles and her learning how to deal with them, rather than just her love struggles. As I said, this seems like the perfect read for my commute to work, so I'm sure I will get to it quickly. In Memoriam by Alice Wynne was also a book I spotted in Waterstones, and not just because apparently it was their debut fiction prize winner, but I ended up getting the physical copy in Austria. What got me hooked is the recommendation line on the cover that reads, "At once epic and intimate, humorous and profound, a vivid rendering of the madness and legacy of the First World War as seen through the lens of a schoolboy love affair." It is rare that I pay attention to what's written on the cover, but after seeing this, I knew that this was something I needed to read. As you know from my videos, I enjoyed The Song of Achilles and rated it 5 stars, and ever since I have been looking for books that have the same mix of tenderness and devastation, and In Memoriam seem to fit into that category. In this story we are introduced to Henry Gaunt, a 17-year-old boy who leaves behind the idyllic English countryside and his all-consuming crush on his best friend Elwood to join the British Army at his mother's request. But he is not expecting Elwood to follow him, and together they face the tragedies of war and find solace in each other in difficult moments as tender love blooms between them. The book is set in 1914 at the beginning of World War I, so I'm a bit scared. This book has the potential to break my heart into absolute pieces, but do it in a tender way, like The Song of Achilles, where you know that things will end in tragedy, and that makes every sweet moment so painful, so devastating. Again, I think this is a book that requires a certain headspace to really immerse yourself in it and appreciate the gripping narrative. It might not be soon that I get to it, but I'm really looking forward to reading the magnificent and heart-wrenching story that is In Memoriam. Now, I want to take a second to talk about special editions. As you all know, I live in Austria, and it's already difficult to get books in English, let alone special editions of books in English. Our main bookstore chain is called Thalia, and they are not connected to Waterstones or Barnes & Noble or anything like that, so they never have their special editions. In January 2023, we visited Miami with my boyfriend, where I stumbled upon the Chiltern edition of Wuthering Heights. This one. It was so pretty, but I ended up getting some other books before that filled up my luggage space, so I left it behind. In my mind, I already gave up on it, because there was no way I could get this edition in Europe, right? Fast forward to last weekend, we visited the John Case shop in Edinburgh, which is this sweet little bookstore and antique store off of Victoria Street. And what did I find there? The Chiltern edition of Wuthering Heights. I even have the footage of all the pretty special edition books in the store that they had. But I thought I would surely be able to get it in the main Waterstones in the city later, so I didn't buy it right away. And that was my mistake. On our last day we went to Waterstones, but they didn't have it, and at that time in the afternoon John K's shop was already closed. So I planned to order it online. Thankfully they delivered it to Austria, but at this point I need to have this book in my life. I read Wuthering Heights in translation in Hungarian back when I was still in high school, actually multiple times, so I'm curious to see how I would feel reading the English original version now. Talking about pretty books though, a special edition I did get for my birthday from my sister is Circe from Madeline Miller. It's funny that in this haul even 2 books are connected to it, but The Song of Achilles was my first 5-star read of this year in January, and pretty much immediately afterwards I added Circe to my TBR. I love the golden details on the cover, the birdcage and the leaves surrounding it, and the quote on the back. This Greek mythology retelling is centered around Circe, sorceress and the daughter of the sun god, who is banished to a deserted island by Zeus. You might be familiar with her character if you have read the Odyssey and remember that she was the one who turned Odysseus and his crew into pigs. I personally haven't read the Odyssey, only learned about it in school, so I'm going into the story with very little knowledge actually. But apparently in this book the focus is much more internal. We are following her struggles of choosing between the realm of gods and the world of mortal humans, and how she finds her own strength as a woman. I am fully expecting to be blown away again by the author's lyrical writing style and how she blends the perspective of gods and humans together with themes of love and loss. It is a very beloved book, so I'm curious to see if Circe captures my heart the same way that The Song of Achilles did. And the last book that I glimpsed during my Edinburgh trip but ended up getting it back home is The Foxwife. I enjoy stories that incorporate Chinese mythology with mystery and a bit of speculative fiction, but to be honest, so far I'm yet to find one where the plot really impresses me. The Foxwife looks promising though in a lot of aspects. The story starts in Manchuria at the beginning of the 20th century with the death of a young woman who is suspected to be murdered by fox gods. We have our detective Bao, who is hired to investigate the case, but we also get the perspective of a mysterious fox spirit named Snow, who is seeking vengeance for her daughter, I think. And of course, over the course of the plot, their paths cross as they journey from northern China to Japan, and things get complicated from there. I feel like this is going to be a nice change of genre between all the fantasy and romance reads. I mean, it's still historical fiction, so very much in line with what I usually read. I hope the mystery tension build-up is done well, and I'm interested to see how the folklore elements are incorporated. I hope you enjoyed this little book haul and Edinburgh vlog. I had fun putting it together, and I already have an idea for my next video, so see you there in approximately like 2 to 3 weeks. Until then, take care. Bye!